All right, y'all. Last hour of the show on this Wednesday. We'll get ready to wrap things up and get more of your phone calls in here and do what we do. Work trucks bringing you the show tonight as we watch the sun go down. We get that cotton candy sky down here out there on the water. Work Trucks is ready to help you with any of your needs for a get-it-done business vehicle. They've got everything. I mean, the cargo and passenger vans that are super popular. You know, that high-top Sprinter van has sort of taken the place of some lighter box truck used. For a while, the box trucks were pretty much everything, even the small box trucks. But it's amazing what you can pack in there and how fuel efficient and durable they are with those diesel engines. And they've got them down there, both passenger and, of course, cargo style. And then, of course, plenty of box trucks. Sometimes you just got to have a box truck or a flatbed, or if you just need a plain straight pickup or one that's outfitted with a service body. They've gone to the trouble to find the best of these all over the country and get them back to Birmingham and go through them 125 points to make sure they're right. They just won't put them on the lot unless they're ready for business at Work Trucks. TRUX. Go see Bubba. Y'all kick some tires. Let them get you a deal, get you financed and out the door. Extended warranties as well. And when you wear that one out, bring it back to them. They'll take it on trade and help you get another one. You've got a business to run. You don't need to be wasting time chasing down trucks and managing a fleet. If you're planning to grow your business this year, it's Work Trucks, TRUX, WorkTrucksLLC.com, WorkTrucksLLC.com. All right. We'll throw the phones back up in this hour. If y'all want to get in on it, bring it. 545-9950 is the phone number if y'all are ready to go on that. This time I'll start with the Nancy Guthrie case. We don't have a whole lot of big developments today, but it seems to be just a flurry of smaller activity. Some of it looks to be just disconnected. It's just, I mean, I think circus-like is unfair because, you know, the circus really is in the coverage because you've got the media trying to stay on the story. They're trying to get information out, which the authorities say they need to help. But then sometimes you've got well-meaning and then sometimes not well-meaning people that are piling in with tips that are irrelevant or erroneous, and that's creating problems now that the video came out of the guy with the gloves and the mask and all that yesterday. Apparently about 5,000 tips have come in since they released that video. This afternoon, they found a glove that purports to match or look very much like the weird gloves that this guy had on that was coming up to the camera that was along a roadside. So that seemed to be a break or a development in the case. Could be DNA traces on there. At least it gives them a location as to where that was discarded. Apparently it was just one glove. I don't know why that is. And apparently just a little while ago, we got reports coming in that the FBI is grid searching in the middle of Nancy Guthrie's yard now. They're actually in detail looking for something, and we don't know what that is. It could be anything. But the search continues, and if you're judging from a distance, it looks like they don't have much. It looks like rather than them being focused on probably somebody that's a likely target, they are turning over rocks looking for anything they can find to substantiate this case and to get them in the right direction. They're chasing this crypto wallet. They went down and harassed that Carlos guy last night. They had to do that. They got a tip that was credible enough. This guy cross-referenced for having been a truck driver who could have done deliveries in the area. There was a tip that identified him as the person in the video. So off they went last night about this time to his house, created quite a stir. I was pretty certain last night when I went to bed that we're going to wake up and know that there'd been some kind of arrest in the case, but suddenly they had to let him go. He wasn't part of it. So the mystery continues, the coverage continues, the chaos continues. And I'll be honest, I don't think they're any closer to solving this thing than they were a week ago. Even though you get a sense with the increased activity, they're either more desperate and looking in all directions, or this is kind of a delay tactic while they build the case over whoever they're surveilling. It's just hard to know, and it's hard to develop a theory of any kind, and I've seen a lot of people just throw their hands up. I know a lot of you are tired of hearing about it because I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm tired of talking about it, and we tried to do our best to give it a break today as much as possible, but there are a few little small developments this afternoon. One of the stranger developments today, too, was another TMZ message, the third one to TMZ today, that it seems to be from an unrelated person who says they know who the kidnapper is and will reveal that to TMZ. I suppose it was TMZ. If they would put one Bitcoin into a crypto account that they had set up, and they gave them a whole nother account number, just one, which I think those are what, in this like 60 something $1,000 now. Weird, and probably phony. Probably has nothing to do with any of this stuff. We'll see what tonight brings. If there are any developments, of course, between now and 6 o'clock, we will have it for you. Let's go back to the phone lines and see what y'all got on your mind tonight. Jimmy the Greek's up next. He is over on line 2. What's up, Jimmy?
Hey, first off, I want to tell you, I talked to the lawyers out there, and I guess Shelby County, they're looking at your property, wanting to know if the Wahapa Indian tribe should be coming in and reclaiming the property around the lake there. And so they want you to stay down there for an extra couple of weeks till they get that sorted out. What I really called about was the SAVE Act. I'm trying to figure this out now that you started talking about it again.
Oh, I see. You trying to be, Jimmy, you trying to be funny, man. That went right over my head. I do not live on stolen land. I bought that land, and I will shoot anybody that tries to get it. Okay, next, go.
Well, how do you know that when you're in South Florida that somebody's not trying to get it? Anyway, long story short, the SAVE Act, I'm really trying to figure this out from your last caller. So what he was saying and about this, John Thune holdup. What is the holdup again? Explain it so I can understand it.
Well,
I really don't.
The minute the bill comes from the House and goes to the Senate, the minute it gets to the floor, they've got their own process for getting it to the floor. Even in the procedural votes, the Democrats are going to immediately raise an objection and declare a filibuster on the bill getting to final passage. So in other words, they have to come up with 60 votes to end the filibuster, so then the bill can be voted on the floor. So they have to have a filibuster vote before the final vote, right? So that means unless the supporters of the bill can come up with 60 votes to end the filibuster, it doesn't get an up-down vote, which is just a majority vote. Does that make sense? So the way that what we call now the zombie filibuster works is that whoever declares the filibuster, they don't have to stand there and talk endlessly day in and day out and maintain control of the conversation and the debate to keep the filibuster going. They just put the marker in, basically, a filibuster is in effect, and then they wait and horse trade behind the scenes until they call for a vote to override the filibuster. And if they don't override it, they can keep it going. And it's just a delay tactic. So what Thune is being asked to do is Thune is being asked to go back to something called the speaking filibuster, which means, okay, Democrats, okay, Spartacus, if you want to be a tough guy and come over here and talk on this bill and talk the bill down and hold the floor so we can't bring it to the floor for a full vote, you're going to have to stand here, man up, and talk in the microphone and keep that going. That's a physical requirement. It requires you to stand there and have the stamina. If you're the one that brings the filibuster, you're the one that has to stand there and hold the mic. And that's the old rules. That's the way it used to be before they changed it to this lazy version of a filibuster. Is Jimmy still there, AJ?
Dropped off.
Jimmy got tired of hearing me explain it. Anyway, Jimmy, if you want to get back in, if we lost your call. Good questions tonight on that. It's sort of basic civics. It is confusing. There are probably some even technical nuances to it that I'm not even describing sufficiently. But the bottom line is it's become Senate tradition since they started doing it this way. What Thune's being asked to do is to allow the bill to get to the floor by allowing those rules to be changed, either requiring through a change in the rules for this bill for them to have to speak to the bill, thus keep the concept of a filibuster, but they got to earn it, or just nuke the filibuster on this vote or on a certain set of bills that cover certain subjects and move forward with it that way. But I don't know what he's going to do. He seems to be waffling all over the place after continually saying that he's going to allow that, quote, the Senate will vote on the SAVE Act now that it's coming, that hot potato is heading toward their chamber after repeatedly saying they would do it. We still don't even have all the Republican senators on board. Now, they need 50 plus J.D. Vance. And slowly, apparently, that's starting to happen. We've had a couple of more Republicans finally commit to that legislation tonight. Now, it's not unusual. Let's just throw this in there. It could be that they get, say, Fetterman to come over from the Democrat side and support the bill, and that helps offset any Republicans. But in no circumstance does anybody who's an observer of the Senate believe that they're going to get a combination of 60 senators to stop a filibuster. You wouldn't have enough Democrats or Republicans to do that. You got too many weak Republicans like Murkowski that don't even support the bill as it is, much less trying to pick up more Democrats to commit suicide. They've got a rigged system that they're trying to protect, and so now the fight goes to the Senate. So we've got to be paying attention to it. It does get a little complex. It gets a little bureaucratic and sort of tedious to work out what the rule changes are. But I remind you, again, these are just Senate rules. They're not laws that are required for a majority vote in that chamber. It's just how they do things. It's the way, it's like you got to wear tennis whites on Tuesday at the country club. You can't wear slacks. They got to be shorts. It's a dress code for the Senate in some ways. Does that make sense? All right, let's keep going. Blakely's Bouquets. Have y'all ordered your flowers yet? I think Blakely's is still taking Valentine's order. Call them and find out. If you haven't, they're ready to get that order in. You either call them or get it in online. They've got a tremendous delivery process, and I know they're going to be super busy between now and, of course, Saturday. Some people get those flowers delivered a day early because maybe boo things at work. And look, she wants to get the flowers in front of her buddies, so go ahead and send them early if she works. But get those flowers delivered and get them ordered and get your message ready. One of the hardest parts when you go to Blakely's websites is it's so quick. It's such an easy process. You better have your thoughts together so you can type your message in, and they'll get those flowers delivered. They'll be fresh. They'll be beautiful. They'll be just what you want, and their delivery system is just outstanding. They're over in Homewood now. If you are a flower person and you like to work more hands-on and direct with them, they'd love you to pop in the Edgewood community. It's Blakely's Bouquets, Blakeelees, Blakely's Bouquets.com, Blakely's Bouquets.com. Back here in just a minute, Leland Live. Man, it is 5:22 already. Where'd that go? Where did the day go? Rain on the way this weekend. Y'all get ready for it. Inches of rain. It's much needed, but just going to be kind of dreary getting through the weekend. Southern Skies Dermatology bringing you the show tonight. SouthernSkiesDermatology.com. Do appreciate that they've saved lives. I really believe it, and I've heard from so many of you that you would not have gone without these daily reminders. I finally nagged you enough that you went and put it on your list, and sure enough, they found something of grave concern. Anytime you find melanoma, it's something you got to deal with immediately. And I tell this story sometimes. When I first met Dr. Mario, he took over the practice because he's a Mohs expert. And he wanted to buy into a practice that already had the technology online, and it was just a perfect fit. And what a great guy. And I went over to meet him when he bought out the practice. They'd been with us for years on the show. And I remember just his expression. He looked down at his shoes and looked back up at me and said, you know, it's sad when people come in, and I think to myself, man, if you'd have just gotten here a couple of weeks ago, or if you'd gotten here just 6 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I could have done more for you, but it has traveled and it's gotten to be a bigger situation, especially with melanoma. He sees people that you notice something and you think it's going to go away, and you just kind of think you're going to keep an eye on it, and you just don't know what you're dealing with. So early detection, like all cancers, is critical. And we want you to get checked. So get checked at Southern Skies Dermatology, SouthernSkiesDermatology.com. New location coming this year. I'm excited about that. SouthernSkiesDermatology.com. All right, let's go back to the Olympics for a minute. I haven't been able to watch any coverage. I've just seen some highlights, and every now and then, you know, of course, with the time shift. And I just don't sit around watching a lot of live sports. But we do have J.D. Vance has been over there at the Olympics and representing the country that way. But he gave some, I guess, voice to this concept of these athletes that go over and sort of tarnish their presence in the Olympics by trashing the country or talking about politics. And it really rubbed a lot of people the wrong way when that downhill skier, that Hunter, I always forget the kid's name, sort of sanctimoniously talked about some political conditions here in the country. That's just the wrong answer in this moment. On that stage representing your country and being a competitor, and it just in an event that is designed to evoke patriotism and national competition, to say anything like that, it's just, whether he believes it or not, whether it's correct or not, it's foolish. So here's J.D. Vance speaking to that. I kind of liked what he had to say about it. We'll talk about it on the other side.
Olympic athletes were unbelievable. I know the entire country is rooting.
Hold on, one of those
Yes,
little
you're going to have
there
some Olympic athletes who pop off about politics. I feel like that happens every Olympics. My advice to them would be to try to bring the country together. And when you're representing the country, you're representing Democrats and Republicans. You're there to play a sport, and you're there to represent your country and hopefully win a medal. You're not there to pop off about politics. So when Olympic athletes enter the political arena, they should expect some pushback. But most Olympic athletes, whatever their politics, are doing a great job, are certainly enjoy the support of the entire country. And I think recognize that the way to bring the country together is not to show up in a foreign country and attack the President of the United States. Olympic athletes.
So, there's Vance doing his thing and talking about it as well. His viewpoint's not going to be different than a lot of you guys and a lot of those folks. I just wish we had more immediate consequences. It's sad that you'd have to say that, but immediately you should be suspended from the team. I mean, we just won't compete in that competition. You're not going to get your glory. You're not going to get your media hits. You're not going to get your social media branding if that's how you want to play it. Again, I made the comparison yesterday, and I think it's apt. Maybe I did so in a clunky way, but I think this is similar to the NIL culture right now, especially with college football, where it's about, whatever your personal platform is, your personal opinion, your personal branding, the individualism that is coming from that is breaking up the concept of team unity throughout college football. A player that you're pulling for today is on your rival team tomorrow. There is no sense of commitment to something bigger than self, other than who gets the biggest payout or who can cause this controversy or that controversy. And I guess that's just the way of the world, and I'll always be nostalgic for the old ways. But it's the same thing with the Olympics. If you think your personal political platform is bigger than the country that sent you there to compete in that sport, and look, these people work hard to earn these positions and to compete on that level. But I think it's just it's a narcissistic, self-centered kind of world nowadays with almost everything. Everybody, instead of people being people and being about causes and commonality, it's brands. Where everybody thinks they're a personal brand, that they're a tube of toothpaste to be sold, and has got to say what they got to say. So we'll see. Apparently, that guy was trying to walk that back a little bit in some other comments. I don't know who said anything to him or got to him or if it'll change anything. And he wasn't the only one. But let me just say this again, and I've said it already on the subject this week. There are plenty of other athletes that are being extremely patriotic. They're being appropriately emotional on the medal stand when our anthem plays, and all the nostalgia and things that we love about the Olympics that do unify us as a country, have us pull together against other countries in the spirit of athleticism. It's what the Olympics were brought back to do. And they've been good in that way over the years. There have been some incredible moments that we all remember. But then again, there's this guy. And I was thinking to myself, where's Nancy Kerrigan when you need her? I wonder what she's up to nowadays. You thought that was some vicious stuff anyway. All right, here we go. Axiom Tax Resolution Group, 205tax.com, 205tax.com. Y'all, here we are again, tax season. You can already file. Some of you trying to get your paperwork together, working on it. We all go through this stuff. It's just an American ritual. The worst part is if you owe money, you just can't pay. Either they've got the amount wrong, or you have the amount wrong, or somebody gave you bad advice. It could even be that you've got past tax debt from previous tax years, and it's haunting you as you turn around and have to file again. Man, that's just the worst. Perry Cronin is local, and he knows more about how to get you out of this situation than anybody in this country. We're lucky to have him where you can sit down with him face to face. You can settle for less than you owe in some circumstances, and he can stop the harassment too. Y'all, don't go through that horrifying situation. Let Perry help. He's a total pro. His company's called Axiom Tax Resolution Group. His website is 205tax.com. His phone number is 205-872-1100. Y'all tell Perry we sent you, and get some peace in your life with Axiom Tax Resolution Group. Back here in just a minute. Leland Live. All right, y'all, let's get ready to wrap this thing up. Last half hour of the show. We'll go straight to the phones this hour and get some of y'all in here. Gary's over in Trussville on line 1. What's going on, Gary? How you doing tonight?
Pretty good, Leland. Are you headed back Sunday and going to be hitting this rain maybe this weekend?
No, I'm staying away from all the rain that I can. I'm gonna take a little bit of vacation time next week as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. My question is you was talking about they got rid of the filibuster. Now I'm 65 and my history is very short. What I want to know is, what do they exactly have to do to get rid of the filibuster? And you said it's not the law. Is that part of it where they could just say, hey, we're not going to do a filibuster? Or
yeah,
how does all that work?
Well, the majority leader is largely in control of that, and they have to take a vote on a rule change, but the leader has to bring the rule change. And then there's some other complicated things that can come along with it. It can be also subject to the clerk of the Senate to interpret they go through the parliamentarian of the Senate to decide based on largely this old code called Robert's Rules of Order as to how the rule can be interpreted. It gets really kind of nuanced, but a proper Senate Majority Leader with the stones to do it can really have their will on this issue and has a number of tools at their disposal to make this happen or to get creative with it. Thune just isn't showing that kind of fight right now.
Well, if he does tell the guy or whoever it is that calls it to get up and he's got to speak, do they still have to have 60 votes? How long?
No, there wouldn't be. It'd be a simple majority on a rule change, I would understand, and it can be done. There are a number of ways that it can be done depending on which way they choose to try to fight it. And if we find out from Thune any more about which approach he maybe want to take, I can give you better details on that when we get to that point. But we're not there yet because he's just still feeling the heat and trying to get his. Honestly, if you put it on the floor right now, I'm not even sure they'd have the 50 votes they need to actually get it in a simple majority. And that's a problem, too. It's Thune, but it's not just Thune. He's got some weak members that don't want to fight. They'd rather be in the minority and lose and keep their little country club job than to actually get in trouble and get dirty in a fight. Some of them don't have a stomach for fighting.
Well, if they do, let's just say they do pass it. Can California or something like that, can they say, well, we're not going to make them show ID?
Well, no, not if it's federal law. They have to comply with federal law in a federal election. They would not have to do this in their state elections. They could have a whole separate type of laws as a sovereign state on how they choose their leadership in their own states. This would only apply to federal elections that affect us all over the country.
Well, you know how Newsom is. He tried to pass that law about the mask and stuff. I just don't trust him. I just think he's going to say, I'm going to let my people vote any way they want.
Well, most likely,
if they do that,
most likely they'll try to sue over it, which will be very difficult because the Supreme Court and the federal courts like to stay out of the fact when Congress actually passes a law. It's different than when a president sort of executes an executive order and they want to make that subject to a constitutional challenge. There's so many scenarios, though, Gary, I could pull my hair out trying to think of all the different things that could go wrong. Let's just see what happens this week as the Senate takes it up.
Okay, well, thank you, Leland.
All right, man, good questions. I think y'all's questions probably exceed my ability to explain it. And I'm doing what I can with my just straight from memory over how this process is supposed to work. Greg is on line 2. What's up, Greg?
How you doing?
Hey, man.
The Olympics. I was just thinking as you closed out that last half hour, protesting, saying something. Go all the way back. I think it was '68 in Mexico City. The Black Panther, where
the raised fist. Yeah,
the raised fist. I think certainly '72 in Munich, where Israeli athletes were shot and killed. The 1980 Olympics, the U.S. boycotted the ones in Moscow, and then the Russians returned the favor in '84 in Los Angeles. So I think there's I even think was it was it 90, 92? I can't remember. Katarina Witt and her skating to Where Have All the Flowers Gone about the destruction of Sarajevo, and
Well, that's a good
there's
memory.
a long history of that.
Well-
I mean, I love the Olympics, but those are the things that just came to mind. But the dude from the UK peeing F ice in the snow, I'm like, stay where you belong, buddy. I mean,
No doubt.
that has nothing to do with us. We don't care. And these people that do have something to say, I do believe a lot of times it's the press or I don't say journalists, the press that's trying to get clicks or views to goad them into saying something stupid. But I can't believe there's not like a PR department that says, hey, would you get asked these questions? Say this or say that. But the biggest question is, what kind of sorcery do skaters have, the figure skaters, when they do those spins at 500 miles an hour, how do they not fall flat on their face? Everybody's seen it go to the Barons game in between innings where they get
with the
3 or 4
baseball
people out
spin.
there and they put their forehead on a baseball bat, spin around 3 times and then run 10, 15 yards. No. How do they do that?
I don't know how they don't get dizzy.
Ever understand?
Same thing with the gymnasts when they do all those backflips, and I don't know how they just not riding a magic carpet or something when they quit moving. But yeah, all your points are well taken. There have been political statements throughout. I mean, you can go all the way back to Jesse Owens showing up Hitler. I mean, that was a. The thing is, most of those cases, the country that sponsored the athletes in their speech, generally the whole country agreed with the speech or the protest or the stand, except for maybe the Black Panthers thing in the 60s, but it was the 60s. But look, I mean, you also face a country that disrespects you. You're taking a moment that you've worked hard to earn, and you're going to divide and split people off from supporting you. And in the real world, that's not good for your career going forward after that either. You have a choice to win a gold, be a hero of a country, shut your mouth, and go cash in and even advance your career, or state your politics and whine and bitch while you're on the national stage with our flag on your sleeve, and deal with the consequences of that too, like the Dixie Chicks.
And you get what you deserve. Have a good evening.
No doubt. There you go, man. It's just, hey, it is what it is. And Greg's right. I mean, you'd think these guys could be coached enough to say, hey, the best thing for you is to not be a dumbass right now. But some people just can't help it. It's innate. It's there. It's always going to be there. Yeah, man. Let's see where we at. Let me talk about Stockton Mortgage, man. Thomas is all tied up. He's been getting things done today, and I can just tell you these guys are ready to sit you down and work with you in any way you want. When it comes to mortgages, it's not as one-dimensional as get a mortgage and pay for your house. Mortgages can be used to consolidate other debt, to cash out, to do other projects. They can be, if you're a first-time buyer and you're a veteran, man, you've got so many advantages that you've earned. You've got special programs, first-time buyers. Other situations, there's situations where if you live in a zip code where there's been a natural disaster or a FEMA declared disaster, you may be entitled to a different interest rate. There are things that I'd never guess at, and you can't even Google, that are part of that whole process. Certain qualifications that have changed. The interest rates are moving all the time. There's a lot to keep up with. Stockton will help you work through that. And it can start with a simple phone call where you're just kind of ballparking what you think you want to do. You may not be ready to put a whole application in and go start pulling your credit. There may be some things you want to do to work on your credit before you do all that, which may be smart as well. It's SaveWithStockton.com. They've got folks standing by right now ready to help you too. SaveWithStockton.com. Y'all reach out to him tonight and let Thomas and his team help you. The phone number is right there. SaveWithStockton.com. Back here in just a minute. All right, y'all. EcoView Windows and Doors bringing you the show tonight. If you want to get your house right and tight and buttoned up and save 35% on your heating and cooling bills, talk to Becky Jackson and her team and let them explain exactly how they've set their business up and why they stand behind their products that way. They say they can save you 35%. They can explain how that works. Also, of course, warranties on the way the products are installed, the products themselves, everything that comes with it. It's ecoviewwindows.com, ecoviewwindows.com. Y'all reach out to them. Let them come get you buttoned up for the rest of the cold weather season. And, of course, in the summer when it's even harder to tell how much money you're losing that's going out the windows. I mean, look at that power bill. Mine was just astronomical. It's the biggest one I think I've ever had in this house. And just how much energy we were using in the cold weather. Take 35% of that. That's a significant savings if you've got single pane leaky windows. You need to get on that. It is ecoviewwindows.com, ecoviewwindows.com. All right, let's clean up here with the last remaining couple of things we have. First up, apparently the House of Representatives just vote to terminate Trump's tariffs on Canada. Can you imagine that? The vote was 219 to 211, and they had several Republicans to vote with the Democrats for the flip. I think it was 4 different Republicans. Trump is, of course, furious, and he has put out, let's see, here, Don Bacon from Nebraska, Kevin Kiley of California, Thomas Massey, of course, this guy, Jeff Hurd of Colorado, Brian Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania, and Dan Newhouse of Washington. Trump saying there will be primary challenges. The problem is in a lot of these states, the qualifying deadline to run against them in the primary season has already passed. In other words, it's too late to qualify a candidate in some of those states. I don't know which, and I haven't lined that up, but that vote was 219 to 211. That still have to go to the Senate. But here's the Congress trying to interdict the president's ability to deal with Canada, and that is while he is still waiting for the Supreme Court's decision over their application of law and the way they're using tariffs on the world stage. Could be calamitous with an adverse ruling from the court and now this action from the Congress. They just can't. Sometimes Republicans just can't take a win, man. You can't hand them one. They got to find a way to screw it up. All right, we'll see. We'll see what else the fallout on that is. Then we got this. I got to play this sound, but I haven't heard this. We're going to listen to this together. We had that transgender shooter that killed 10 people and shot 25 others in a school. That story was breaking last night as we left the air. And this is how I don't know what position this guy has. He's some kind of police leader, captain, chief or something, protecting the shooter's pronouns after these mass murders, trying to be respectful of the transgender shooter's pronouns. Listen to this.
We identified the suspect as they chose to.
Hold on, a little glitch there. It'll
in public and in social media. I can say that Jesse was born as a biological male who approximately, the information that I have, approximately 6 years ago began to transition to female and identified as female, both socially and say this. We identified the suspect as they chose to.
And of course that loops and he repeats. They just went on to say, hey, we're going to do Tuesday. I can't even say it. I'm going to Dale in Bibb County. This dude just murdered all these people, these kids in another school shooting, this time in Canada. And this guy's going to make sure we don't offend him in any way if he wants to be called a girl. Dale, what you got over in Bibb County? What's going on, man?
Well, I was just calling about, there's so much tension over white supremacy or black or Jews or, I'm a mixed breed. I don't have a big education, but I was just born around Bibb County. I got Creek. I'm white. I don't know. Did they steal land from me or did I steal it from them? I'm a little confused, and I'm just wondering what they're teaching our kids. I read that there were more white slaves when the blacks were free, the African when they were freed, there were more white slaves than there were black. I'm like, what? And I kept reading. I'm like, there's just so many things that we don't know. We just tell one side, and it just seems like they do the system to keep us divided. But there's so much to learn about history, but everybody just wants to take sides. And isn't there something we could all advocate to do? I mean, in our little part
Yeah,
to try to teach.
read books. That would be good. On the issue of stolen land, there's a general theory that started being developed by these fake historians to rewrite history and change the rules of modern society, to go back and vilify the European nations, that that everything about colonialism was bad. And they're wrong. They're just wrong on history, and they're wrong on facts, and they're wrong on how things played out. The land here in the United States was not stolen. It was conquered. It was also negotiated. Some of it was purchased, and some of it just worked out. As far as even out west, the Mexicans, we offered to buy the territory we wanted to expand west. The country of Mexico said, no, we're not going to sell it. Then they declared war on us. I mean, we had to defend ourselves, so we just took what we wanted after that, after we whipped that ass. Every square inch of every nation on this planet, every border in the world was settled the exact same way throughout human history. It always has been settled through wars, conquest, negotiations, diplomacy, in some cases purchase. It's the history of the world. It is not unique to us. And by the way, almost everywhere the Western Europeans went during the colonialism days, they improved where they landed, period. Yes, there was disease and pestilence, and they weren't living by today's standards, but they found these prehistoric cultures that they came into contact with. When they came here, the Native Americans that were here didn't have a chair, they didn't have a wheel, they didn't have a written language. There were some beautiful parts of their culture, but they were also cannibalizing each other in parts of, and at war with each other. They were fighting over their own territories before any Europeans ever showed up here. Nobody stole anything. That's just an ignorant way to present history to ignorant people that don't know any better.
But it sure does stir up a lot of trouble, doesn't it? And it's not fair to our kids to do that, because they could be enjoying each other instead of turning against them just because they're black or because they're white or because they're, God bless y'all. And y'all keep being real out there, and love you and AJ and all of y'all. And I've enjoyed you over the years, and just keep up the good work.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, wouldn't it be nice if we just all kind of could read and know history and understand all sides of it? But that's just not where we are now. And that's intellectually as dishonest as anything that's been presented lately, or all these new rewrites of the way the world works. Okay, all right. I don't even have time to finish my thoughts on that. What else do we have? Let's go back to the Guthrie case one more time. The latest this evening, we haven't talked about it since the top of the hour, that they are now looking for. They found a black glove of some type that they firmly believe might have been the gloves that the person that was trying to intrude on that house was wearing. They found this thing in a ditch. That may give them more clues. I think what that also tells us, they've been canvassing the yard, doing almost like a grid search of Nancy Guthrie's yard. From that, what I glean, as little as I've been able to do it, because I'm telling you, every expert detective has been wrong. Every person that thought they had a tip has been wrong about this case. The whole time we've been watching it for almost 2 weeks now. But it seems to me they don't have nearly what we thought they had in terms of having a direction or a general suspect in this case that they're closing in on. They seem to be chasing themselves all over, running down every lead in a desperate effort to find a picture somewhere that they can paint and a direction in which they could go. Maybe that's just them doing due diligence. There's a lot that we don't know. You always presume that. But the case today, as presented in the media and the updates that have come from the scene around Tucson, have been nothing short of just, I don't want to say chaotic. That may be too strong, but scattered at least in terms of which direction that they're heading with that case. Let's see what tonight brings, and we'll be back here tomorrow. Y'all take it easy as rain is on the way. By the way, I was looking at down here, they are freaked out with the agriculture sector in Florida because of the cold that affected the orange trees. Man, the price of orange juice may be going up, and they're dealing with an insane drought down here too, just to let y'all know. Y'all, Leland Live from the coast back tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Until then, stay tuned for our friends at Breaking Bread.
Goodbye, AJ.